What's going on, y'all? It's your main man 5, and I'm back with another exciting banger for y'all in episode 3 of our Mythbuster series. So first and foremost, I want to say how much I appreciate you guys for blowing up the last video. As y'all know, in episode 2, we did Wish You Were Here by Floyd, and y'all went absolutely insane. We broke 100,000 plus views. We had almost 10,000 likes on that. Y'all went insane, man. And I just want y'all to know that it doesn't go unrecognized. You guys have helped us grow and crush our goal. Since the last video, we did actually hit 10,000 subscribers. Much appreciation to everybody in the comments that was showing love and recognizing that. That's very, very much appreciated. But I think the best way to kind of show that appreciation would be to hop right into episode 3 and do what's been the most highly anticipated reaction so far. So you read the title, and you know today we're going to be checking out Animals by Floyd. Now, all of you guys have been saying this is your favorite. You've been saying this is the one that you want to see me do. You want to hear me break down and talk about. Eugene told me a lot about this album. So I'm expecting big things. I'm expecting it to be something that's real major, and I'm excited to just hop right into it. I don't got too much to say. Let's just do it. Of course, this is going to be up on our Patreon early as always. So I'll make sure I post something on our Instagram timeline so y'all can be able to see and keep up with what's going on. But scan this QR code to our Patreon right here. We got this and some more exciting stuff coming up real soon, so make sure you stay in tune. But without further ado, let's get right into this video. All right, y'all. So the first song on the album is called Pigs on the Wing Part 1. I'm just going to hop right in and hop in my analytical mode, so just let's get right into it.
If you didn't care, what happened to me? And I didn't care. But you, we would zigzag our way through the bottom of pain, occasionally glancing up through the rain, wondering which of the buggers to blame. And watching for pigs on the wing.
See, what I really like about that is, the fact that the song feels both lighthearted but also heavy at the same time. Just looking over a little bit of the lyrics where it's saying, like, if you didn't care what happened to me and I didn't care what happened to you, we would zigzag our way through the boredom and pain. It seems like just trying to come off with the whimsical feeling of what it's like to have a genuine love connection amongst us as people, whether that be in the format of a relationship or a format of just the way that you treat the next person that you come across in life. It seems as though it's coming from the perspective of, it's rare to find that sense of love and humanity. A lot of the times when you know, we're constantly being corrupted by, let's use a metaphor from the last album, where you're being corrupted by the machine, not just in terms of the last album being about the entertainment industry and etc., but just the machine as a society and the standards that come from society. We live in a time and we live in a world where people are ruled by status, people are ruled by what the companies try to force onto people, the things that they try to make you feel are important in life, and what they make you feel like the standard of success and happiness is. The goalposts get moved so frequently that it makes it hard for people to have genuine connections with others. Because if you feel as though if you're kind of being a blessing or being helpful in somebody else's life, in a way it's kind of taken away from you. I feel like we live in a society where it's more than just a competitive edge. They kind of teach you that you live in a dog-eat-dog world. And if you're the type of person that's not willing to be cutthroat, this really isn't a world that you can survive in. You know, that's all really just a ploy by the higher-ups, or, you know, using phrases like watching for pigs on the wing. It just kind of seems like a yearning for a world where people can have a deeper connection, where they can focus on loving one another and not constantly feel like they're being ruled under the thumb by the big wigs, which could be representing like what the pigs are. Like, I know Eugene was telling me a little bit about like pigs on the wing and talking about the metaphor of when pigs fly. So that kind of makes it give the song a feeling and vibe of, you know, well, it would be nice to live in a world where people actually cared and loved on one another. But, you know, maybe we'll see that when pigs fly. Just talking about the unlikeliness or how rare it is to actually see people focus and pay attention to love in the next person rather than just focusing on themselves, if that makes sense. That's just like a little initial vibe. I just love how the strings are giving like a whimsical feeling, but the lyrics have a sense of airiness to them as well. That kind of gives me a feeling that the album would be a lot more intense than what it's trying to lead you to believe. But that's just the first song. That's just initial thoughts. Let's keep going. The next song is called Dogs, and fuck, it's 17 minutes. Let's get into it.
Street, you got to be able to pick out the easy meat with your eyes closed. Then moving silently downwind and out of sight. You've got to strike when the moment is right without thinking. Like
Sheesh. Come on.
Gotta admit that I'm a little bit confused. Sometimes it seems to me as if I'm just being used. Gotta stay awake, gotta try and shake off this creeping malaise. If I don't stand my own ground, how can I find my way out of this maze? Deaf, dumb, and blind, you just keep on pretending that everyone's expendable and no one has a real friend.
Yeah.
It seems to you the thing to do would be to isolate the winner. Everything's done under the sun, and you'll believe at heart everyone's a killer.
next song is called The next song is called Pigs, 3 different ones. But before we get into that, we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to talk about. But first, give me a second. Hold on. First and foremost, man. First and foremost, I probably midway through the song already was disappointed that I didn't have my lighters in my pockets because I would have been prepared. But it's like, it's so much I want to break down from that. I feel like that kind of reinforced a lot of what I was saying listening to the intro of the album. And the reason why I say that is because that song really just felt like it used the metaphor of, like I said, societal standards build us to believe that we live in a dog-eat-dog world, which in some circumstances that have shown to be true, but that's because that's what gets pulled out of people based on the type of life that they're exposed to. A lot of the times, I feel as though, first of all, the beautiful part about that song was it encapsulated isolation to, I can't even explain. Hold on 1 second. Fuck. First and foremost, it encapsulated isolation to a T. The way that the music was playing, the way that the instruments were being used to tell a story of its own, it really just talked, let me go back to it, because it really just talked a lot about what it's like to be forced into that mindset of a dog-eat-dog lifestyle. It talks about how basically you have to be a sour person as far as your personal relationships. You have to stab people in the back that you love. You have to be the type of person that's willing to step on anybody to get to that pedestal or that carrot that they're dangling in front of our faces. Like I said in the intro, the machine does a great job of reinforcing propaganda and making us believe that the standards of success are being the prettiest person or having the most money or having the richest friends or owning the most this or having the most that or having the biggest yacht or the biggest TV, the biggest whatever it might be. I love the fact that that song represents the fact that they force you into a mindset and you don't even recognize that as learned behavior. You don't even recognize that the pigs, as in the big wigs of every industry that reinforces what our standards are, they lead you to believe that you have to be the person that's willing to do anything, cut anybody off, step on anybody if you want to get to a means of success, because only the strongest survive, only the strongest win, only the strongest, etc. But they don't put in the fine print that you're gonna feel isolated. You won't have anybody to love you. You won't have anybody to care. You won't have anybody to care for. And at the end of the day, when it gets to the points like you get older, they talk about, imagine doing everybody you love wrong, and then you get to the end of your story and figure out that, damn, love was really the only thing that was ever going to last. Love was the only thing that was ever gonna sustain me in these times. People get old, they get sick, they go through different things. You don't realize how important it is to have somebody truly care and love you until you're in those vulnerable moments where you sit back and reflect that I wasted my time chasing everything that was not as important as they tried to make it seem like. But I do love the fact that through all of the moments and movements of that song, it gave you the progression of it. It told you what it was like to be that dog, to have that beast in you that's willing to devour anything in your way. And then it goes on to talk about the feeling of being isolated and how it feels to be on the outside of everything positive, watching all of the love go on, realizing the fact that life moves on whether you're a part of it or not. You grow anxious. You got to keep an eye looking over your shoulder. You got to be the type of person that's afraid to truly pour into something completely because you know that you've done so many people wrong and you're fearful that it'll come back to you. And I love the fact that it really just reinforces and makes you ask yourself those questions of what's truly important in life. Like, let's go down to here. When it's asking those questions like, who was born in a house full of pain? Who was trained and not spit in the fan? Who was broken by trained personnel? The chain metaphors. I love the fact that they're using all of the representations and multifaceted personalities of what makes a dog such a complex animal that is something that fully personifies what it is to be human, to be the type of person that they're trying to domesticate you and force you into certain mindsets that make you focus on looking at life and success in a way that they manufacture for you to see. Being the type of person that realizes if you do and act the ways that they push you towards acting, you're working right into their plan. You're working yourself right into being a cog in the bigger machine and becoming more of a part of the problem than being a part of the solution. I love the fact that it's reinforcing those things and making you break that fourth wall and really come out of the matrix like, wait a minute. I'm focusing on so many things that won't be sustainable. I'm focusing on so many things that aren't going to make me happy in the long term. Maybe it's about time that I lock in and focus on things that are truly going to bring me peace. I like the fact that it's showing the brave warrior spirit of a dog. It's showing the animalistic side of a dog. It's showing the loyalty and love and innate need to be loved and surrounded by good people. That was actually very creative of a song to write. And I love the fact that they're using these animals to basically personify us and represent what it's like on a day in and day out based on what corporate America and all of the big wigs, all of the fat pigs up there are trying to manufacture for us to understand. That's actually really cool. I saw some stuff in the comments saying that it was really like based on George Orwell's book, I think it is. I never read Animal Farm, even though I know a lot of people read that back in school, but I get the idea of what you guys are trying to say that book would be about, because this just represents us as society, and I think that's dope. But the next song is called Pigs, 3 different ones. We're gonna hop right into it, because I could go on and talk about dogs forever, but let's get on for continuity's sake. All right, let's go. The animal sound effects in itself is crazy, but we'll talk about that after. Sheesh!
of steel. Your hot stuff with a hat pin. And good food with a handgun. You're nearly alive. You're nearly alive, but you really would cry.
The next song is called Sheep. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about that. First and foremost, just to because sometimes I got to structure my thoughts because there'd be so many things that want to come out at one time. The first thing I do want to attack is the simple fact that I love that they're using the sound effects of these animals to kind of reinforce the themes of the songs. It'd be the small details like that compounded with the instrumentation and the lyrics themselves that make it a fully immersive experience, because I feel like attention to detail in ways like that are the type of things that pull people in and make lifetime listeners. That's the type of things that the average Joe might not hear, but me being an artist and a lot of people who, listen to it and have been listening to it since the 70s have been artists as well. So we got an ear that listens to it just a little bit differently. I like that in the Pig song specifically, and I'll start there. I like the fact that they were using like a synthesizer along with the squeal of the pig to kind of give how tantalizing and tempting that the pigs themselves can be as represented in the song. Because I like the fact that they're using that squeal and they're making it like appealing, they're making it vibey, they're making it something that grips onto you and catches your attention. Because at the end of the day, a lot of times that's really the tactics that you see. I really like that they used this song specifically to break down 3 different types of pigs. Even though it says it in the title, to hear it gives it a different meaning. I like the fact that it breaks it into verses where it talks about specific different types of people and how those people in the hierarchies are the people that's setting the societal standards and making people feel less than, taken away from the working class, etc. The first one kind of felt like they were talking about just companies, just talking about corporate America and the way that they basically bleed you dry for all of the work ethic you have. And the moment somebody dies or the moment somebody's family member gets cancer and they get sick and they need to take time off, they have a new baby on the way and they need to take extra time because it was complications during labor. Those are the type of things where it shows the corporate side being a pig, and that's talking about how they take you for everything you have, bleed you dry, and then get rid of you when they don't need you no more. They live in all of the luxury and happiness and all of think of the dynamics of what a pyramid scheme is. Let's just talk about that. You hear a lot of people talk about pyramid schemes but not really know what a pyramid scheme is. If you look at just like corporate jobs, the job a lot of us work in, the CEO makes a certain level of money that you as a working tier worker, you have workers, managers, CEO. The CEO does the least work, but they'll always make the most money. The managers delegate the work to the workers, and the workers are busting their ass day in and day out, missing holidays, missing family time, risking their health to be able to send the money up. But you'll never, as a worker, get paid on the same scale as the managers and the CEOs. That's why you hear people talk about pyramids as if they're something that just get thrust upon. No, working in regular corporate America technically is working in a pyramid. They're bleeding you dry, living in luxury, eating good, having access to the best doctors, while people down here are working the most and struggling the most. That doesn't sound like a very fair trade-off. I like the fact that the first verse talks about that of it. And I like that the second one basically just talks about manipulation tactics and talks about how different, let's say it's like world leaders, presidents, kings, queens, whatever, prime ministers, all of the above. Because I know Gene was telling me something about some lady they were talking about. Y'all can fill in the gaps about what it is I'm talking about. I'm just going to describe what the lyrics gave. But this really just seems to be talking about those manipulative forms of government that try to take over and manipulate how people's lives are supposed to move. They set the power structures. They set what the most important people are based on their job, based on the money they bring in, based on their race, their sexual preference, etc. That seems like one of those things where they have very specific thought processes on what a progressive society looks like, and they force those standards down the funnel as if it was the top of a pyramid again. Oh, this is the idea that we have about what happiness and what life should look like. Let's feed this down. Boom. Trying to make it seem like you have a choice in the matter, but through manipulation and propaganda and all of the things that can sway people's perception and perspective, they're using every tactic they can: billboards, TV shows, commercials, things like that. But I also like in the next verse that dives into that as well, because that really just seems like the type of person that's talking about censorship, talking about the government censoring what people can say, even though it's an amendment right for you to be able to speak your mind regardless of how people feel about it. Freedom of speech is a real thing, although, you know, we laugh at people when they get censored on social media or they get blocked from saying their opinion on certain things, when it's your God-given and your right as an American to be able to speak your mind on how you feel. As ignorant as it may make you seem, you're entitled to your opinion. And I think, you know, we don't take that serious enough when people get censored, because as they slowly pick away at certain liberties and freedoms that were in the Constitution for you to be able to do this and that, and we cheer it on when it's somebody we don't like getting silenced. But when it becomes a worldwide thing where everybody's getting silenced and they can't let off their opinions, bullshit or not, that affects everybody. So I love the fact that it's using 3 different layers and types of pigs in their different respective roles, but talking about how they influence the people, how they influence the public, and basically change the narrative on what it is people are arguing about. When at the end of the day, we're all just trying to survive. And that goes back to what I wanted to say about dogs. I like the fact that they use those faint, different type of howls and barks from dogs. You hear different animal owners talk about, you can tell what your dog wants based on how they're barking or how they're whatever. I love that they use different examples of barks and howls to kind of give different expressions of what the dog's emotions might feel, since they represent us in a lot of ways. I love the fact that you hear little whining where it sounds like isolation or sadness, depression. I love the fact that they're using the howls to represent emotions and mental situations that people may be dealing with. I think the attention to detail and stuff like that might get overlooked a lot of the time, but they're breaking down a lot of different people and personifying them through animals. Okay, that's kind of dope. Comment down below and let me know if y'all feel like I'm kind of on the right track, but I feel like they were given different layers and different examples of what the pigs are in our society and in our world, and how they're using their influence to manipulate us against each other. When in all, we're all just trying to survive. Like dogs, we're all just out there taking scraps that are thrown to us. We all a dog trying to get a bone. That's how I look at it. But the next song is called Sheep. Let's get right into it. Y'all gonna make me bring the keys out. Yup. Yo. They are losing their mind. We're gonna listen to part 2 of Pigs on the Wing and then just talk about it all in a minute.
You know that I care. What happens to you? And I know that you care. For me too. So I don't feel alone on the way to the stone. Now that I've found somewhere safe to bury my bone, and any fool knows a dog needs a home. A shelter from pigs on the wing.
It was beautiful. Let's get into it. So, to start off, let's go back to Sheeps. What I really love is the fact that, first of all, they're kind of painting a picture of like a revolution. They painting a picture of understanding. They're painting a picture of just like, let me slow down. All right. What I really love about Sheeps is the fact that they're using a metaphor of Sheeps as being the working class people. I like the fact that they're separating the idea of, now hear me out, I like the fact that they're using a multifaceted meaning of dogs, not just with dogs in the way that I explained, but also the wolves. And the reason why I say that is because this, I still believe is applicable to what I was saying was about like with dogs, just basically waiting on a bone, basically living on the scraps that are thrown out of you, living on the scraps that are thrown out to you, living on the perspectives that are passed down. I think the bones being thrown are metaphorical for the perspective that's forced onto us from the higher ups. The lifestyle, the society pressures, the power structures, the dynamics that we choose to believe in and have faith in are force fed down, and that's them throwing us a bone so we have something new to believe in, something new to have faith in, something new to lean on. Dogs in that sense represent the people that are just misguided, the people that are trying to survive, the people that are trying to fight for what they believe in, but they're just misguided. But then you have the wolves, the people who all along had bad intentions, and even though they're forced to fight other dogs, they're forced to hurt people, they're forced to stab loved ones in the back, there are wolves, and those represent the people who don't mind doing those things. The sociopaths, the people that don't mind bringing harm to other people. They're not the ruling class like the pigs, but they're not the sheep or the dogs, because those are the people that have good intentions, but they might not be as focused on the bigger picture as they should be. The sheeps are docile. They're just believing whatever comes down. They're hurting and following along with whatever's force fed on us. But when you have the wolves, they're representative of the people that they enjoy harming other people. It's more than just survival. They get joy on both aspects. They're getting fed by their demons, which is what's fueling them to continue to hurt people, but they're also getting fed by the pigs with a perspective that feeds their ignorant nature, if that makes sense. And I like the fact that they use the wolves as a representative of the people that are killing the sheep, the people that don't mind harming us, the people that don't mind stepping on people's necks and doing the most to be able to get ahead. There's different types of people. You have some people that are doing things out of necessity, and some people that are masquerading things out of necessity when it's really just something they would enjoy to do either way. I like the fact that the sheeps are metaphorical about like the wool getting pulled over your eyes. The sheeps are docile. They're domesticated. The people that just don't mind going along with whatever's taught to us and not really questioning the status quo, just herding along. But I like the fact that that song in itself basically documents a revolution. You have sheeps getting represented as people that are just going along with the flow. Then I love the fact that they used the music. It got like real introspective. It got deep. It got intense because it represented what it's like for a person to have an epiphany and wake up kind of from the matrix to realize what's actually going on, to realize all of the things going on around us. Although it's a tale as old as time doesn't mean it's right. It's the people waking up from that nap and realizing that what's going on isn't what I believe in. It's not what I choose to have faith in. And I'm not gonna believe in something I don't have faith in just because that's what they tell us we should believe in. It's people waking up and having that epiphany and realizing like, damn, this is not the way life should be. Just because it happens doesn't mean it's right. Damn, there's people out here trying to hurt us. Damn, they don't give a fuck about us. Damn, they're lying to us about what matters. Damn, they're lying to us about our freedoms. Damn, this, and having just a bunch of epiphanies in that moment where it's just full circle and you wake up, but then it leads to like a rebellion. Because I like the end of the song where it really just feels like they're rising up against the pigs and trying to overthrow them. Because at the end of the day, it's only so long that people can stand up on that pedestal and be protected from the outpour of everybody else. I talk a lot in past videos, like when we listened to Ren and we did Money Game and songs like that. At the end of the day, there are higher ups and people that are living the luxurious lifestyle while the other 98 and 99% of the world starve. Is that fair? Is that right? There are people that have billions of money that they've accumulated, but there's people out here hungry on the streets. Yes, I believe that you should work and earn what you have. I do have faith in that and I understand that dynamic, but I also understand the dynamic of not being afraid to bless somebody with what you've been blessed with. If God is giving you a way to take care of and feed your family and make sure you're good, the excess should be able to pour back into the communities and make sure everybody else has resources so they can get through their hard times. Everybody gets dealt different hands in life, and you didn't ask for the way the dynamic of your family structure might have come about or the way that your life played out, especially in your childhood where a lot of our trauma is received and a lot of what we become as adults is nurtured. If you're the type of person that you weren't raised to be mindful, to be confident in your beliefs and stand on what it is you believe in, you grow up to be a sheep. You grow up to be one of those people that just go along with whatever's given to you as opposed to forming your own perspective and having your own viewpoint on what life is supposed to mean for you as an individual. And I like the fact that Pigs on a Wing Part 2 just reinforces what the intro was about. Instead of talking about it in a hypothetical format, the outro is talking about claiming it. It's not just an epiphany and rebellion through sheeps, but coming onto the outro is accepting that, no, I'm realizing that love is what I need. I'm realizing that human connection, faith in humanity, and believing that we can be better than where we are now is what I need to be focused on, regardless of everything that the ruling class. My bad, we had a little storage issue, but yeah, really just, I love that the outro is more so focused on, instead of it being hypothetical, recognizing that love, true companionship, camaraderie, community, whatever you want to call it, is all that really matters. At the end of the day, it's all about being loved and loving on people correctly, being a blessing to other people if you're able to be. I love the fact that it's taking that power and making it more of an affirmative statement than something that we're wondering, wow, what would it be like to be in a world like this? What would it be like to have those circumstances? This is them planting that flag in the ground and just saying, we'll be those trailblazers that say this is what we need to focus on as a people, as a society. We need to break free of all of the chains, all of the manipulative tactics, the propaganda, everything that they're trying to force feed us through that funnel. We have to stand up and recognize that we as society, we is that 98 and 99% are the type of people that we have to be the ones to change the world, because the people that are comfortable ruling at the top are okay with things progressively trending negatively, because that brings more money into their pockets. And regardless, and that's the thing about a pig, it'll eat anything. It'll eat its own shit. It'll eat humans. It'll eat anything that's in its path. It'll eat itself. It's one of those things that it'll eat its babies. It's just one of those things that, using the pigs as a metaphor of being a filthy animal and being something that's insatiable, something that'll never have enough. It's just greed and hunger. I love the fact that they couple that with the idea of wolves as dogs. I love the fact that they coupled those things together to show the different dynamics of the type of people and things that are important to them in this life. If you leave it in the hands of a pig, they'll never change their ways, because their greed is never satisfied. Enough will never be enough, and they want to continue on taking everything they want, even if it costs the world everything. That's the ending dynamic of it. So it's really just a story about society. I love that this album is really just going against the machine and letting it be known that we understand that there's more out there, and we refuse to stay asleep when we know better. This was a really dope album, and I appreciate y'all for suggesting it. Feel free to comment down below and let me know what your experience was with this album. Let me know what it takes you back to. And let me know if I'm on point. If you enjoy some of the themes of this video and you enjoyed this album reaction, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on your post notifications so you can stay in tune every time we drop a banger like this one. I want to let y'all know first and foremost that we appreciate you for the continued support on this journey and on this series. It's really been a pleasure being able to hear music that's talking about such heavy themes and using metaphors that are layered, and it takes you being able to sit down and really understand what they're trying to say to truly appreciate it. As y'all have come to grow with me in this audience, you understand that that's my favorite type of art. Something that you can't digest and just, boom. I might have a simple idea, but music like this, every time I listen to it, there's another detail I catch. There's another thought process that it'll take me down. I think music that is just pulling up the veil on society as a whole is the most impressive, because it takes a lot of courage to make music that goes against the status quo as well. I thought that was really dope. But I'll give this album a 5 out of 5. I think it was really dope, and it was a bold take on empowering the people, and I have to say I really respect that. But as y'all know, I'm gonna put the QR code to our Patreon right here. Shout out to all of our patrons for your continued support. It's because of you guys that we're able to continue on doing better and better and higher quality content as we continue to go along. As you see, we in a new space. Y'all see me rolling around in my chair, and yeah, we starting to step things up, and this will continue to get built and get more personality as we continue to go. But I just want y'all to know that we are stepping everything up, and I hope that you guys continue to support us. That way we can keep producing things that keep you guys coming back. But yeah, this video will be up on our Patreon early as always, so make sure you go check that out. And if you want us to check out The Wall, which is the next on the list, get this video to at least 2,000 likes. If this video can get 2,000 likes, we'll start working on The Wall and see what they got to say about that. But we'll leave that for a whole other video. And the last thing I want to say is, y'all know I've been opening up the platform for all up-and-coming artists. As y'all know, we recently did a reaction to one of our subscribers' album. Shout out to Herman for sending in his album to get reviewed. It was really dope doing that. We're just trying to open up the platform to help up-and-coming artists get a little bit more exposure. Even if it just helps a little bit, we keep the email in our description box. Make sure you reach out and let us know what it is you'd like for us to check out and break down, whether it's film, whether it's music, whether you write poetry, you take pictures. If you like the way we break down art on this channel and you want us to break down yours, make sure you reach out via email so we can figure something out. But this was my first time here at Animals, and until next time, I go by the name of 5. Peace.
How does this go? You wanna know? You've never been here before. Go with the flow. We'll take to rush.